This is Power 102 Digital Friday. On a Fridays, we have the Fathers Association hosting their special program. They got some special guests that they invited. Hard Talk starts now, right here at Power 102 Digital. Good afternoon, Shervon. How are you?
Hey, afternoon, Marlon. I'm doing good. Are you hearing me, David?
Yeah, I'm hearing you now. Yeah.
David?
Yes, I'm hearing you. Are you hearing me?
Good. All right, good. Yes, I'm hearing you. How are you doing, brother?
I'm cool, taking it easy as always.
All right, good, man. Afternoon, Trinidad and Tobago, and those who are joining us internationally. As always, we want to say special thanks and shout out to the Power 102 family for creating this space, this very important space. We can't understate it. It's very important space for the fathers and men of Trinidad and Tobago. We really appreciate it. We know that airtime is money, and you all have invested in a very worthy cause. So, Tianti, normally when we are on air, you would see Rondell Fields, you would see Wendell, Marlon, myself, and others, Ted, and others, and we are talking about the plight of men and fathers right here in Trinidad and Tobago. And we thought today that it would be good for you to hear from some of the fathers who are affected. We have, and it's not that we are speaking from a place of not knowing or not experiencing. The association, if you trace back its roots, was birthed in the same struggles that we are still advocating for today, right? Rondell Fields would have told his story on many occasions about his own experience trying to get access to his children through the system. And through that struggle, he would have joined arms with Wendell and then Marlon and the others. And so they've lived that experience. Myself also, I've lived this experience for the past going on 19 years now. Um, but there are many others in the background who are still fighting this fight today. And so we want to bring some of them to the fore to you over the next couple of weeks so you could hear the stories, right? And realize the plight of fathers and children in this nation, because what if it affects our father, it affects our child, right? So here with me first up, we have a couple guests today, and here with me first up is Victor. Victor, how you going, brother?
Hi, but are you hearing me?
Yes, man, I hear you loud and clear.
Nice. Good day, everyone.
How you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine, man. I'm good. I'm blessed.
All right, nice, man. So, Victor, you and I have been engaging for a couple years now, right?
Yes, yeah,
And I know the ins and outs of your story, and we want to bring it across to the nation with protecting the privacy or confidentiality of those who were involved as well. Yeah.
yeah, no problem. I will do
So
that.
when you first came to the association, you were in a court matter already, correct?
Correct is right, yeah?
Right, you were in a court matter already. And this court matter involved your daughter. Yes?
Yes, sir.
Right. Now I want you to explain, because I listen, nation, you all will be blown away by some of these stories, I
All right,
want you to
so,
explain. So you explained to us your daughter was living away. That was what you knew, right? She was living in the
yeah,
US, correct?
yes. What
Right.
happened? Yeah, go ahead.
And you no, you take it from there. You know
All
she
right,
was living away. That was the last you had known. You go
all
ahead.
right. So, my story in a nutshell has been going on. My daughter is 19 years this year, and it's been 19 years of a battle, I would say, or a little less. But so it's in a nutshell, I'm being very, I've summarized it up for you guys today. At times that I really felt overwhelmed and exhausted. And it all started when my married wife and I separated. The child was just a year and some months old. She told me she was traveling back to the States to live with the child. So was in belief that the child was in the States up until I found out the child was here. What happened is I was working with a company that did delivery. And well, I'm from the Port of Spain area. So here I am in the east, more or less close to Sandy Gandhi, and visiting a establishment that I normally service doing deliveries. And upon reaching to that establishment, there was a daycare. And while looking, around the surroundings, I realized that a child drew to my attention. She looks almost like my daughter. So I asked the teacher if I could speak to her, and she told me I could. And I went up to the child and I asked her her name, and she told me her name, which was my daughter's name. So I asked her if she knew who I was, and she told me that, yeah, I'm her daddy. Of her
How old was
instinct,
she at the time, Victor?
she was 3 going on 4 years old.
When you ran into her there?
When I ran into her, and I haven't seen her since she was about less than a year.
So
yeah.
I just want to pause this for a little, right? I just want to pause. David, I know sometimes you're doing work in the background. I don't know if you're with us today.
Yes, I'm here with you guys. I'm always tired of doing
right,
other
good.
stuff, but I'm here. I'm here.
All right, good. So I want to just recap that part of the story, right?
Yeah.
Kevin, thanks for joining us, Kevin. I appreciate it, brother. We are starting with we're going through Victor's experience right now, Kevin. And feel free to chime in and ask questions. Kevin has been another member of the association, also going through his experience, and has been what I would say the ideal support to the association. And I'll get into to why I say that in a little bit, right? Kevin, you're hearing us, right? Kevin? Unmute your mic, check your mic, make sure it's unmuted, right? Right. So I want to get back to Victor's story here. Victor last knew David that his child was living in the United States of America. Right? That is the information the mother gave to him.
Mm-hmm.
And here he is going down the road to do some deliveries in Sandy Grande. And he looks around and realizes it has somebody looking like his child in a yard next door, right? In a daycare next door. I want you all to realize how amazing something like that is, isn't it? This parent didn't say to Victor that the child is migrating back to Trinidad and sending the child back home. This man is of the belief that his child is living in the USA, and that time his child is somewhere here in Trinidad. So when we talk about parental alienation and the things that some fathers have to go through in this country, right? This is not crick crack monkey break your back, as the storybooks used to go a long time. This is real life experiences people could take and make a movie. Right? Imagine that. You think your child living away, David, and you walking down the road and bounce up somebody looking like your child. Years later.
My God.
So Kevin, Victor, tell us how you felt in that moment.
Well, when she replied and said that she knew I'm her daddy, but I couldn't function. My eyes full up with tears. My knees buckled. At that point in time, I can't take the child. The teacher don't know me. They never saw me before. I never was introduced as daddy. Right? But I was just shocked and overwhelmed that she knew me. I was happy. I was hurt. That's just how different emotions came on that point. I couldn't function. I had to leave work and recuperate from that. I had to. So when I contacted mommy brushed it off as a joke, like a laugh, laughed it off. Well, I continue now because before I used to reach out. Yeah, she laughed it off. What happened is we used to be in contact on her birthday and Christmas. So I would call during Christmas time to ask her what she want me to get for her. And on her birthday, I would send money to her to buy her something. So I would try my best to communicate with mommy every time that, the child young. So she would either tell me she on work or the child in school. only to find out that
Mhm.
the child was living here. All
Mm.
right, so fast forwarding to about a year after, mommy contacts me again. Now I am asking her to be involved because she living here. The child is actually living with her cousin, who is at the time when my daughter was here, because I got to find out from the cousin when I got a, well, we laid back who is the child staying with. It was our aunt of hers daughter, and the child would have been with that young lady for she was like about 18 or 19 years at the time when she left the child with her. So she never took the child back up. When I thought she left with the child, she left the child here and she went back. So for that time up until I met the child, I got to realize that the child never went back. And it's only when mommy started to panic, mommy tried to get the passport renewed. But we married, so she need my consent to renew the child's passport. So she's here now telling me that I need to give her a letter of consent. So I am now asking her, so what is the letter of consent for? They're not giving me much information. If I go to ask for a letter of consent, I need to explain to them why, right? But she's being dodgy. She's not saying much to me. And it's only when the day get closer, I got to find out on the day of the appointment that the child needed to renew the passport in the embassy. So I was allowed to accompany her. I wasn't trying to humbug the well-being of the child because I'm thinking to myself, I'm living alone. I'm a bachelor. I don't know more resources on how to go about anything in the sense of legal aid or legal advice. So I am just overwhelmed and trying to be at least involved in anything that's going on. I just want to be part. I want to know I don't want no fight. All I want to do is just be part. I just want to submit and just be part.
Hmm.
And in doing that, that's how I got the information on what was happening. So she was trying to
Right.
take the child out of the country because she realized that I have the power knowing that I'm here. Right? Now that I'm old, I'm seasoned in it now. I understood what she was trying to do. She was trying to get the child away out of the country from me because knowing that I am the biological father and the only person that have that you know,
Mhm.
legal right
So
to yeah,
I'm gonna pause you there for a second,
yeah,
Victor, because I want to explore that point you're making a
yeah,
bit, right? Let me just acknowledge Coyote, who is messaging in the chat. And
right.
Coyote says, he said, I've not seen my kids in months,
Wow.
but quick to run and take out our rent as I miss a payment. And I assume he's talking about the mother of his children.
Right.
And Coyote, we hear you, brother. And that is a pattern that we've seen. And we have said, right, that fathers or mothers whoever is a non-custodial parent, that you have to pay your dues to support
Mm-hmm.
your child, right? You have to
Of course.
financially support your child. So we support that, financially supporting your child. But we also say that the court should be equally,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or even, but I want to say more, right? Equally harsh. There should be punitive measures in place for parents who are alienating their children from the other parent, who keeping them away, right? Because that also has serious psychological effects on the life of the child, right? All the way into adulthood. The studies have shown.
Mm-hmm.
So thanks for that, Coyote. Feel free to call in, right? Feel free to call in, folks. 222-8255. 866-525-1099 is the toll-free number. And WhatsApp on 318-1021, right? Or you can message on the page. Joseph, I want to explore that point you make there. You said that because she realized now that you're trying to get involved in the child's life and legally able to do so, she was trying to get the child back out of the country. So
Correct.
you're telling me that she is content. She is content with being away from the child because the child was living here.
Yeah.
But what she's not content with is the child being with you.
Yeah.
And I want you all to hear the level of madness. There's no other way for me to put it on her. I can't say this eloquently, right? I want you to hear the level of madness that people have to experience in these situations, right? Coyote, I saw your message. The number is 222-8255. 222-8255. The toll-free number is 866-525-1099. And the WhatsApp number is 868-318-1021. So Joseph, she's content with the child living with a relative. She's content with the child being away from her, but she does not want the child with her father.
No. So
So
this is, yeah.
so this is the level of bad mind, right? When we talk about people playing games with the children and using children as their pawns, this here is what we talk about. Right? This is the type of games that we see on a regular basis. Right? You seen Joseph here today. The events surrounding his story is extraordinary. To have to walk in and bounce up with Charlie and surprise, right? But the gamesmanship around it, we see that all the time. And this is why we call on the courts, right? We call on the Attorney General. We call on the Honorable Prime Minister. We call on the leader of the opposition, because laws are passed in Parliament by both, that there needs to be systemic changes in the way we address these issues. It is not as straightforward as people think it is, right? When you see a father had enough and lose it, God forbid, it's because there are endless games sometimes. There are endless games at play, right? Endless games at play. So, Joseph, continue with your story.
Yeah, so I just wanted to be to be involved. I wasn't trying to humbug anything. I just wanted to know where she was, how she doing, what's going on with her, where she would be, who's taking care of her, things like that. So while mommy manipulating me all this time, she's letting me know a letter of consent she wants. She's not telling me where it's for. So I didn't want to give her a blank paper of letter of consent. Next minute she's doing the exact thing that she wants to do. Eventually I got to find out. So I accompanied her to the embassy, as I was telling you guys. And up until that point, she was still trying to make it look like if she wasn't doing that, because she was even asking the the um the person who was dealing with the documents if she still needed letter of consent. So they say, well, the father is here, which I know, I'm present. So she eventually she went away with mommy, but the child started to rebel and lash out, because as Mr. Lewis just said, it started to affect the child, because the child did not know mommy and neither did not know daddy. The child was involved was being raised by a family member, which is a cousin of the child. So the child was already attached to that particular um, adult and wanted to come back to Trinidad. So the child started to give trouble in school and started to light fires in her mother apartment, things like that. Normally, what children would do when they want their way. She was finding ways to lash out, and mommy got concerned because in the states it's a bit different. They would take the child and put them into foster care. So mommy, being afraid that would have happened, she sent her back to Trinidad.
Right.
I did not know the child was back here. That would have been almost a year and a half after she took her back. The child came back, and it's only when they was trying to get her into a school and being dragged back into the picture, or even you know what was it, manipulate or use, because she don't want me involved, but she have to use me because she's not here. So they're having a problem. They get her into a primary school, so they contacted me to let me know that they needed me to go and to register her into the primary school, which was by the same said cousins in the district that I first found out that she was living. So they sent her back by that particular family member. My mother assured me that she would allow me to visit and to build a relationship with her. So I was really, really eager and happy. And with that happening, um, the family member started to make it a little frantic. She didn't really wanted me too much involved, because she started to give me a hard time, thinking I'm coming to take over or have that authority on what she's doing. But I definitely just wanted to be involved.
Yeah.
And
Like
just
like
want
so many, Joseph. I just want to acknowledge Leonora messaging on Facebook. Leonora is true, right? I asked myself that many times. Leonora says it's only if only some ladies and gentlemen can be civil with each other when they break up, things will be different. And she's saying she cannot understand how that love can be so hateful towards each other. Very, very true, Leonora. I often wonder if how could somebody you love right?
Mhm.
How could that descend into this level of animosity? And when you get to this stage, very 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 true. Thanks for that comment, Leonora. So Joseph, so the situation here is, again, we've seen repeatedly where the child is not with mommy, but mommy don't want the child with you,
Yeah,
right?
that's correct.
And we've seen that pattern playing off repeatedly over this child's life as time was going along in this
Hmm.
story, right?
Yeah.
Fast forward, Joseph, and you take your child to live with you at some point in time,
All right.
right? You make the decision to take your child to live with you.
All right.
Yes?
Well, it was a mutual decision because up until
Right.
that time, the child
Mhm.
would have gone and stayed with the family member. And that didn't last long because now the child knows that she has a daddy that loves her because I started to communicate with her better and
Mhm.
explain certain things that has filled in the blanks that she had questions for. So we started to talk. She getting older. She was with mommy. She now here back in Trinidad with a family member who she thought was her mom. Now getting to find out it's not her mom. So I am now involved. I'm getting to get her on a certain time just to take her out for something to eat or to the grocery or even to the movies and having a communication with her. She started to give the family member a little trouble. So the mother said it was best that I take her and get her into a school in my neighborhood. So I was really, really happy. So I made it happen. And she was living with me. It only lasted a couple of weeks, let's say 6 weeks, before mommy started to act up again. Because I believe in her mind, she sent the child to see to kind of like to set the foundation for her return in my life.
Mhm.
And when she realized that I had someone serious in my life while the child was with me, it sat back to get back better. Because we was going on good, we was planning to take her to lessons, we was doing the co-parenting thing. And as soon as my daughter, she started to question my daughter, and getting information from her about what's going on in the background, knowing that I have someone and the person is, involved, she started to get, you know, contradicted. She want to control. She started to backpedal on things that she said she would do, and it just started getting messy. And when she was able to come to Trinidad, she said that she was moving the child away from me. So I asked her, what was the problem? She said, the child is not happy. I said, well, if the problem is me, and the child is not unhappy by anyone else, and I am the fault, then I need to fix it. Then you don't need to move the child. If you're not going to be here with her, you're not coming here to live, you're not taking her back with you, then why move her to put her by somebody else when I want to fix whatever she might be uncomfortable with or whatever you might be uncomfortable with as a mother? She didn't
Mhm.
have a reason. She didn't have a reason. She just said that she was taking a child, and that's final. I was heartbroken because I only had like a couple months with her, and this is
Mhm.
happening. I just got her in the school, I changed, got her uniform, sorted out everything, lessons. She was getting ready for SCA. I was just thought, this is happening to me again. So I just couldn't take it. She threatened me to take me to court if I tried to do anything, and I said, you know what, enough is enough. And that's when I made a step to go to the family court to start the process. And she was, I think, was about to do SCA at that time. So I had her for about a year, I want to believe, and she was about to do SCA, and it could have been in standard four. So I went and I started the whole process. She got served. She came to court. This is where the
But
story get
let
really
me take you along. Let me take you along there too,
right.
Victor. And again, Trinidad, I want you all to listen. Listen to the experiences of these fathers in these situations. You see, we like to make this out as if it's just black and white, right? I've said that numerous times when I sit here. We like to make it out as if they are men, like all men, right? Because there are some men, just like there are some women, who walk away and abandon their responsibilities, right? There are some. But here we have this gentleman here whose child is being kept away from him, even though the mother not keeping the child with her. She's keeping the child away from him. And even after allowing the child to live with him, now she wants to uproot the child again to send the child back by relatives again while she's out of the picture. I want to keep underlining that point, the child isn't living with her. She isn't fighting for the child to live with her, She's fighting for the child not to be with him. I want that to settle in the minds of the listenership this evening.
So
this is the dynamic of what people deal with. Victor, so you go to court.
So I go to court.
Right? Eventually, you need the services of an attorney. And I want to touch on this point, right?
Yeah.
Eventually, you need the services of an attorney.
Attorney.
By profession, you drive, right?
Right.
You're a driver. So your financial means would not allow you cannot afford to take care of your children.
Yeah.
Because you have other kids, right? You have expenses, and also pay an attorney.
Right.
Correct?
Correct.
So you do what you are advised and you go to legal aid.
Right.
Tell us what was your experience at legal aid.
All right. So mommy had already went to legal aid. So she was getting assistance from legal aid. And because of she already being with them, the person who was in that department had taken up her case because that was so bad that I had won before we even go to me acquiring a lawyer at legal aid. I had already won the first custody battle with the child, where the mommy would have come and try to give up. She had to give up her parental rights and give it to a family member. Although I was in the picture, that was shut down from the courts, and I was given full custody. Mommy didn't come to court, and while we was filing divorce, mommy brought back up the custody hearing, right, saying that she didn't get a fair trial, and all the evidence was there to say that everything was dotted and the T's was crossed. She was granted a future a retrial on custody, which she can do that every year until the child turns 18. I didn't know that until that time. But when I tried to go to legal aid say based on the interest of the head of the department of legal aid was already seen with her case, and she would have to see to every other cases under her. They would not give me the opportunity to the services that they provide, because the head of that particular child attorney department was heading her particular case. So she would have to advise everybody else, and because she was counsel on the other half, the opposite side of the bench, she would not be able to grant me a lawyer. So I had to stand up on my own in the High Court at that point.
Again,
right?
No, I just want to underscore these points, the importance of these points, Joseph, for the listeners. So you are now in a situation. You are not a lawyer.
Right.
You have no legal experience.
No.
And you now are going to court to address what is treated as a legal matter, which I have a big issue with, right?
Right.
Because we have said repeatedly that family matters cannot just be pure letters of law, because it is more than that. There's a lot of substance to it, greater than the letter of the law. And people will argue from now till Christ come. Lawyers will disagree with us on that, many of them, for obvious reasons, right? But at the end of the day, we can't have people playing legal tactics and legal shenanigans in a family court that is impacting lives in a real way, right? If lawyers are to be involved in family matters, they need to understand the whole paradigm of parental alienation and impact it has on the development of a child, and the impact of fatherlessness on the development of a child. They must be educated and schooled in those things and represent those things. That is what they must represent. The interest of a child is not every other weekend and pay money or get locked up by a warrant. That is not the sole interest of a child. There are much more things that goes into the development of a child than every other weekend and pay maintenance. And if you cannot understand that, then you have no place in the family court. And I hold no water in my mouth to say that. You have no place inside of there, right? Because when these children come through a system of just fight and fuss and conflict and being torn away from a parent and only seeing a parent every other weekend, and I've explained what every other weekend means already. Every other weekend is 4 days for the month, 48 days out of the year, right? And for those who forget, a year had 365 days. So 48 days for the year, you have access to a parent. And when you start acting out and start getting in trouble and look at Joseph talking about setting an apartment on fire and getting into all sort of delinquent behavior, right? And there are studies that point it. Higher sexual promiscuity from a young age, more risky habits, drug abuse, substance abuse. When you're doing all that, now you have to come back and get a lawyer now to deal with them in the criminal court. Right? You are in a family court, Joseph.
Yeah.
In a high court, you say, mother has a lawyer, you have no lawyer, and you are forced now to try and represent yourself within this puzzle or maze, right, of legal jargon and terminologies and filing documents and all of these things.
Yeah.
Correct?
Correct. And what would happen is because I didn't have the understanding. As soon as I go along, I learned a little more of the law. Because she could have excluded herself from the case and allow transparency and fairness for me to get a lawyer. She didn't try to do that. It stayed the way it was, and the case went on. I really felt like it was one sided. At many times, I would have come to you, Mr. Lewis, for support in the sense that I was talking to him and giving some advice because it wasn't easy. Because this is a situation where I went through the first period of this custody battle with this child in the lower family court, where I eventually got custody, and this mother kidnapped the child on the time to when time to give me back my daughter because she would have the child on weekends, and she kept the child for months, almost abducting the child. I could say kidnapping. We had to put out a notice to the school and all the places that she kept her away from school because she wasn't going to school. The mother knew that the court had given me full custody and I wasn't seeing my daughter. And even when I brought her to high court, when we went up to for divorce, and mommy would have come back for a fresh trial, I indicated that on my behalf that mommy had kidnapped the child at one point, abducted the child. Let's say abduct the child. When it had a court order for she to return the child to her father, and I didn't see my daughter for almost 2 months, going on 3. And while going through that, the child now understanding what is happening, she's older at that point in time, and mommy now is painting a picture to her that the grass is greener because now I have to now deal with the fact that the things that mommy is seeing in the presence of the child, and is trying to win the child over by giving her ammunition to come and disrupt the home, which is my home, and I have a family, and I have to deal with that part of it in the relationship as well with the mother. Trying to co-parent, we're doing mediation is not working out until the child was, I would say, manipulated to say that she's not comfortable and she's feeling, how to put it, mentally frustrated and suicidal. And this is how it interrupt the child's functioning in school and stuff like that.
And that is understandable, right, Joseph? When I say understandable, that a child caught in that situation, after a while, they're going to be confused, right? They're going to be stressed.
Yeah.
They're going to be frustrated, right? You have a mother who is not keeping you, who is fighting a father who wants to be a part of your life, so and pushing you over to relatives and all of those things, having you caught up in this legal system. Eventually, that will get to anyone. That will get to anyone mentally and psychologically. And so we are saying that we need our elected officials, we need the court, right, to look at this aspect of it in granular detail on every occasion. Not just the occasion where it's glaring, and obvious. No, on every occasion, because you are going to have parents come before the court who are not versed legally. You are going to have parents who come before the court who are intimidated by the very fact of being in a courtroom, very fact of being before a magistrate, master, or judge. And so the ability to convey to the court what is happening in this situation may be difficult at times because of that whole aura of what court is. And we know, yes, the family court has gone about doing a lot of work in terms of their redesign of what courtrooms look like to facilitate, right, or to encourage more dialogue. But the truth, the fact of the matter is, right, you could dress it up as whatever it is. It's a hug, it's a pig, as they say. You could paint it, you could wash it, you could do what it is. If the people who come in there, right, and I go back to that, some attorneys, some of them are coming in there to encourage conflict, or the or and that is allowed, or one parent is hell-bent on causing conflict, and it is not addressed and addressed firmly, what we are going to have is broken children down the road. And I tell you, the years I've been interacting with Joseph, hats off to this gentleman for his patience and his humility in dealing with this situation, because there are many times he could have lost his cool. And Joseph, I want you to tell the fathers out there, how did you go about keeping your cool in the face of all that you were doing? And how did you go about keeping focus and not just losing it completely?
Well, to be honest, the partnership in the household was really strong. My significant other, up until today, has always supported me. I think support of the family, with your family, is one thing. So really, and even the how we work with it, the Single Fathers Association has really strengthened me. And even when I had to call you as a big brother and tell you, hey, I don't know what to do, I'm tired, I'm fed up, it's hurting. And you had to give me stories of what you went through, or what Mr. Fields might have go through. And here in other, the support group, we brothers is free to talk to one another. And I just want to tell brothers today that as much as you're going through to see your children, because we know that fathers is a very important part of the upbringing of a child, especially when it comes to discipline and giving them that self security and right from wrong and that kind of thing. We play a very, very important role, because the statistics shows that a single father it brings up great leaders, rather than a mother would have. And it's bashing the mothers, but a mother would be more soft and allowing the children and them to stay in the bad attitude and the bad ways, where the father would be, hello, you need to stop, you need to understand and have respect, and give them that steadiness. Single fathers have been able to bring forth very strong-minded kids. And I want to say that support in this group that we have is the most important thing. Yeah, we had this group, the Single Fathers Association, has been the biggest strength. I would say, I have to say, it wasn't for you guys. Many times I felt I would have lose it. I would have, I might have, I can then think. So I wanna say hats off for the Fathers Association for really pulling me through for the times. No, I could say, one thing I say always tell mommy, mommy, I say, you could do all kind of thing, you could say all kind of thing about me. I say, but I would always be my daughter's father. That you can't take. You could take her away, you could go with her, you could do everything you want to do, but you could never stop me from being a father. And I want to tell you, fathers, that is the truth. No matter what, the child will get big, the child will get, if the child is a baby, the child is a toddler, the child will get older, the child will understand, the child will be able to reason with you, and you will have your time to be that person to explain your part. And nobody could stop you from being a father. Once you're a dad, stay a dad. It might be tough, it's hurtful to know that your pain doing everything that you're supposed to do and you're still being denied an opportunity to see your kids. I know that hands on. I've lived it. I have lived it on both ends. And I telling you that at the end of it, my daughter is 19 today and mommy's not involved. We have a better understanding, a better friendship, right? We just get along real unknown.
Losing you a little bit there, Joseph. I don't know if you're getting some connectivity issues. Well, let me take this time to acknowledge Biznat. Hi, Biznat. Saw your message in the chat. Nix. Yep, Nix. It is madness. We agree with you 100%. It is madness. And I
Allow
want
me now to instill certain, values in her life that she understand what I expect of her and what would disappoint me, and me being able to put that in her life growing up. I'm really proud of her now. And she's heading back to the States to meet mommy because mommy left her here after I gave mommy full custody. I didn't tell you guys. I gave her full custody after a point in time. I gave mommy full custody of my daughter to settle the child because the child was, as I said, the child was thinking of hurting herself. So I gave mommy full support, full custody. And when the child turned 18, the child came back to me.
Lost you again there, Joseph. Probably having some connectivity issues. I want to highlight one of the points Joseph is making there while he resolves that issue about the importance of
It had
community.
many times I feel like breaking down and crying, talking to these guys, but nothing wrong with crying, fellas. At the end of the day, we're human and we have feelings, and it would hurt, So that's what I was saying, Mr. Lewis. I just thanks for the opportunity to get to share my story. I didn't really get to think already, all in and out, ins and out, but I'm really thankful for this chance to at least let you guys know that you're all not alone and it's happening every day, but we just gotta stick together.
And
That's
Joseph,
my
Joseph, you hearing me?
yeah.
Right.
Kind of want to move, so forgive me.
Right. Yes, I realize. But Joseph, we really
Yeah,
appreciate you taking the time out and coming and tell your story this evening. And two really important points you make at the end there that I want to highlight again before you go, right? Um One is that community having support and community was very important to you going through
yeah,
this season. Right?
yeah. It was.
And listener, that is, yes, we provide our community and support. We tell guys all the time. Fellas come to us and they just want to ask a question. Answer this question, and I go on, listener. Victor and Joseph explained to you how emotionally taxing, mentally, psychologically taxing this experience has been on him and had been on him and his child. And I haven't gone through that myself. I'm telling you all, if you do have community, right? If you do have a group of people who have been where you are to help speak to you, speak life into you, and give some guidance, not just legal guidance and court process guidance, but life guidance in how to deal with these situations, you'll trip off. The best of us, we will snap, right? So community is important. Get into a community, right? If you are inclined to join the association, we share the link on our Facebook page many times with our Telegram support group. Join in and participate and lend support to each other. That is critical on this journey. Critical could be the difference between life and death. The other point he made was that today he has a relationship with his daughter. Correct? Joseph, you were saying that when you started the breakup,
Yeah,
you all have
we have a good, yeah, we have a
a
better relationship because she's
right?
old enough, she can make decisions on her own.
And I always say to guys who going through this situation, right? It is feel like you will never have a relationship again. That is the feeling you have. I have been there, I've felt it. I used to tell myself in grief that I will never get the opportunity to have a relationship with my daughter. Never. It will never happen because the circumstances too dire, the distance too far, the obstacles to us is too many. We will never have a relationship. And I thank God every day that now it's different. We have a relationship where we can communicate with each other openly and frequently, right? And yes, I pray for more one day for us to be with each other, but we have a relationship today. When at a point in time, it seemed like we will never. So I don't want you all to believe the sum total of your life and your relationship with your child is the situation that you are in right now. Let me say that again. Right? What the trauma you're dealing with now, the pressure you're under now, the frustration you're dealing with now because you are separated from your child, that will not be the sum total of your life, all the days of your life. It may be for a season. Some people have had longer seasons than others. But I assure you, like Joseph, that you continue at it. You keep engaging your child. There will come a time where they will see, without you having to bad talk anybody, you don't have to bad talk nobody. There will come a time that they will begin to see you for who you really are. And that relationship will spring forth from there. Donald says mental trauma increases stress, and that becomes a norm, and you're right. You're right, Donald. And that's why it is important to be in a community. And even the community in your home, right? I want to say to those at home, you may have a relative who's going through a situation like what Joseph went through. And he spoke about the importance of his spouse supporting him through the season. That has been critical for me as well, right? Relatives, friends supporting me through this has been very important to me as well. And so don't don't what is the word I'm looking for? Lord have mercy, it slipped me. Don't minimalize, I'm making up words today, what they are going through. Don't do it, right? I hear people say, but what he getting on so far and what she getting on so far? What you think? The child go get big and then you go think, just ignore that. No, not everybody wired that way. Not everybody's wired that way. And you may not understand what they are going through because you are not going through it. But give them support. Many times we are contacted by mothers who are telling us that children going through what Joseph went through here. Many times. And they'd say, boy, I don't know what to do. Right? He pushing my way. He moving distance. He this, he that. And all we say to them, listen, show them love and show them support. It's a difficult season. Show them love and show them support. And on the other side, the parent who is doing the alienating, they have parents too. And I ask those parents, don't just buy the story of children giving you hook, line, and sinker. Right? Don't just buy it wholesale and run with it. But talk to your children and tell them about the impact of the negative impact separating them from the father of their child is going to cause. Talk to them. I am saddened when I get called from guys, and we get a lot of them these days, who telling us, unfortunately, the mother of the child passed away, and the grandmother fighting them in court for the child. And when they tell us those stories, and I see the reality of them, now I realize why the mother was acting so. Because you were supporting that behavior. So we have to think, if we really invested in the well-being of our children, like we say as a society, we have to be mindful of these things. So when they emotionally caught up in the situation because their relationship break up and who do what to who, the parents on the outside could bring some reason to the situation. The relatives on the outside, instead of pouring gas on it and say, girl, don't let he see that child, he worthless, and girl, don't let he do this, and blah, blah, blah. Instead of doing that, we could bring some reason and say, you know, at a point in time, that was the apple eye, that was your love, that was your doo-doo darling, right? All you done, yes, but try and reason, all you have a child. That is what it is we need in society today. Joseph, again, I want to tell you thanks, brother. I really, really appreciate your coming to tell your story. Folks, the numbers to call 222-8255. The toll-free number is 866-525-1099. And the WhatsApp number is 868-318-1021. Kevin, are you there, brother? Kevin, tell us if you're hearing us. David, you seen Kevin in the background there?
Well, he's on. I'm not hearing him, and his mic isn't muted. Probably he moved away from the system while you were talking with Joseph. Kevin, are you hearing us? And
All right.
about quite an interesting story. Joseph told there, and I've seen and heard a lot of stories like that already. And it's difficult to think about people who, I mean, don't put the nurturing of their children as priority. That's
Yeah.
what bothers me most of the time, because the infighting between them, it isn't it's damaging in all spheres. It is damaging to the way the child will be looking at that style of what should I say, confrontation between the two parents, and who knows what will be going through the mind of the child. So I always ask people that when you're having these kind of infighting, try not to do it in front of the children. Try not for the children not to hear you,
Hello?
and try their best to set standards so that the child could follow. Because outside of that, the court battles and the different kind of legal battles, I think it do a lot of damage um,
Yeah.
to
The
the
children, right?
yeah, to that emotional and mental well-being of the children.
And David, if it's one thing, I think I heard Kevin, you hearing us? Kevin, I thought I heard you echoing in the background there.
Mhm.
Kevin, come out and see, come back in and see if it works for you. If you're hearing us, leave the room and come back in. David, you
Mhm.
know, we every week we come on here, I read some statistics on the different impacts of these things on children, right? On
Yeah.
the lives of children. And
Mhm.
you realize what Joseph was recounting to us.
Yeah.
His daughter started to head down that road, right?
Mhm. It
The
hap-
acting out, the thoughts about
endangering their person and all of that.
this
It could
deal.
do a lot of damage. Yeah, it could do a lot of damage.
Go ahead, David.
No, I was saying that it could create that kind of problems, where they will endanger themselves. They'll be asking themselves, well,
Mm-hmm.
which way is the right way? Is it the way that mommy is saying, or is it the way that daddy is saying? And they get so confused that it can cause them to inflict personal, mental and emotional injuries to themselves. It's
Yeah.
very, very difficult to not Okay, I think Kevin is trying to get back in now. Let's see if he's there. Kevin, are you there? Kevin? Okay, I don't know. He's probably having let me see. Okay.
And I'm seeing him in twice now, David. I don't know if you
Yes.
see it twice on your end too. Yeah.
Yes, I'm seeing him twice in the system here too. Okay, let's see. All right. Kevin, are you hearing us? Okay, make sure your levels on your audio is up.
David, what I'll do, I
Hmm.
will send you his number. If you could call him in, I know you did that before.
Yeah,
Can
you
you do
could.
that?
Yeah, you can send it. Send me the number. Yeah.
All right, I'll do that.
Yeah. So people, I think it's very important that you acknowledge the fact that you can be doing more damage than good with the infighting, especially when the child or the children are listening or watching on or hearing about it like through the grapevine and things. So we got to be careful. Let me see
Yeah.
if I get him on the phone here, Shervon.
Yeah. So Jennifer says education has a lot to do with everything. There are a lot of uneducated parents who are having babies. who don't even know how to read. Yeah, Jennifer, that is an important point. But I think it's more than literacy is important. I'm not denying that at all. But it also has a lot to do with culture and upbringing, right? Um, I think that has a part to play, and that is education as well, right? Um, because we educate people about our culture. And when I say culture, I don't mean carnival and those things, right? When I say culture, I mean the way we live, the values we hold, right? The things we hold near and dear to us, the way we act towards others. Those things are it's we receive through informal education, as we see, right? And so I gave the parent now the example a short while ago, Jennifer, about persons who are encouraging their children to alienate the father of their child, right? That is what you are being cultured to do and educated to do informally. So, yes, Donald says parental alienation doesn't only impact the child and the alienated parent, but it damages the relationship with other siblings as well. My eldest daughter occasionally is found in her days crying when asked. Her response is, I miss my sister. That is a very important point there, Donald. I think a point that we sometimes overlook. That's a very important point. Yeah, yep, yeah. And we do get that sentiment from fathers who reach out to us, who have moved on with their lives, they're married or they have other children, and the parent now is saying of their first child, right, is saying, I don't want my child around your child, right? And I don't want my child interacting with your child and that kind of thing. And yes, you're right, because children growing up in this situation don't understand. I struggled and I still struggle to explain to my boys, right, my sons, um, why they can't, why their sister can't be here with them, why she can't visit, right? I struggle to explain that to them. My older son he's older now, and he understands to some degree what the situation is. How does it impact on him? Now he reached that age where he don't say much about it, but there was a time in his life he would be crying about it. Like you said
Shervon,
there, Donald.
I have Kevin on the line here now.
Hey, Kevin, are you hearing me, brother?
Good day, good day. Yeah, I'm in.
You're
Don't know what
right. I'm glad we
it
could
just
get
now.
you in post the difficult the challenges you were having there. So, Kevin, I want to jump right into your story. And let me tell you, I said earlier when I was introducing Kevin that he has been a real soldier in the Fathers Association. And when Kevin came to the association, he came because he was experiencing a challenge like all of us came. But even though his challenge was being resolved, Kevin, he did a couple things. And I want every man here listening today. He began to educate himself. And that's a problem with a lot of us men, right? We don't take the time to educate ourselves. He stuck around, even though his situation improved. He stuck around and decided to support others. He never left. He could have said, well, I get what I want, David, and I gone. He stayed and he continued to support men. And anytime you call on him, he is there willing to assist. Sometime before we could get a message in the group, Kevin, Donald, and a couple other guys, they're there. They're reaching out to fathers who come in the group, who seeking help and offering support. And so, Kevin, we want to say that does not go unnoticed, and we appreciate it, brother. But I want to jump into your experience. So you have a daughter as well, Kevin, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
And you have been separated. Go back. You were separated from the mother of your daughter for how long before the situation turned into the contention situation that it became?
Well, was months, eh? Just months, basically.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And so is it that you all ended up in the court immediately?
No, it took me about, I went first because it took me about, I gave her until about 4 months, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It took 4 months because I is one
So
do
what
believe.
happened in that 3 to 4 month period? Is it that she wasn't allowing you to have access to your child
Right.
post the
Yes,
separation?
I wasn't having access to my daughter.
Okay.
Hence,
So
I
you
went.
were reaching out for access,
honestly-
but you were not getting access.
Right. I was one who used to say I believe in this court system and thing, right? And I think when child, if we could stay out of it, Trinidad and Tobago, if we could stay away from the court, right? I will advise that we stay away from the court. Reason being, one, you are dependent on somebody to tell you how to raise your child. That is one. Two, your child is caught between who to listen to. Right? So if you could stay away, I advise each and everyone, male or female here today, Trinidad and Tobago, stay away.
So you tried to follow that principle, and you tried to work it out on your own, and that didn't work though.
It wasn't working.
So you went to court.
One, I was always in my daughter's life, so that's the next thing. So it's only a matter, okay, so we done now, and all of a sudden I can't get to see my child. Which is a weapon women use. Sorry, women, if you're not one of them, don't feel no how. But I like to talk it how I see it, right? And that's the problem. Trinidad and Tobago too. We afraid to talk the talk, right? We like to hide things, so that's why we're not resolving problems, right? I is one who like to talk the talk, right? If you don't fall in your garden, don't feel no I ain't throwing no shade against nobody, right? Both male or female. So I gave a little time, and I realized it wasn't working out because I didn't neglect my daughter. It's not like I neglect my daughter. So I say, enough time asking, can I get to see my daughter? Nothing doing. I said, right. So I went. And so happened, when I went now, mind you, they was planning for me. So I used to, and also within that space that time, I continued to carry groceries and stuff for my daughter, right? So I was supporting my daughter still. That's another thing. Gentlemen, ladies, continue to support your child in whatever you and the parents will be going through. At the end of the day, if you love your child, stop supporting her with that is not love. I will also give that advice also as I go along here with my story, right? So, a day I went to drop stuff. I used to go by the police station because when you know you're dealing with also, you have to be careful. And I really find I carry the thing, and when I reach, I catch the cousin filming me.
Recording you, the video recording you when you're going.
Yeah, right? Now, here what happened here with that? It's only after I get to realize why that was happening. Because we would have had a court date, right? Coming up. They would have already got served. However, they went and took out a protection order. Right? And when they went, they give them a date for the same date that they were served for already. And they said nothing. Right? They played the game. So they know what I was planning. So I have a protection order. They will already get, they do it, let us call it, when the income, someone,
ex parte,
right? For people who know, if you ain't show up, the judge can make a thing by the time, especially when it comes to threat and thing, they take them things serious, so they make a judgment until, right? So they put things in place. So they would have already had the order, knowing I can't come within 100 feet of them. So right now, to them, I'm breaking that already. So that's why I was filming and all kind of thing. So what I think now, I drop the groceries, I go on. Court come up, no show on this side, no show on the next side. However, I can't be somewhere I didn't know I was supposed to be. I was never served. However, they were served, and they said nothing. So eventually, I went back. At another date, I went back to my court. I went to their court also after. My court ended up putting up because they didn't come again. They give them time again. But on my side was a judge, on her side was a master. Right? The judge for the case again. Again, according to our state, a female judge, put it off, give them more time. On her side now, she had a master. When I went, I put my cards on the table because when I hear about the threats to start with, I said I never did that, and I welcome any investigation. Well, you know, I work in, I live in, everything. I have no problem with that. However, they mention now about, as you on that, mommy says you want maintenance. Well, I laugh because you was getting maintenance. Basically, I was supporting my daughter. What you bringing me there for maintenance for? That's another thing we just do, right? So, I grew up a little old school gentleman. I pull my bag with my receipts. I grew up old school. I grew up with old people. So I have my bag of receipts. So when I dip, the man was doing anything writing wherever you look up, so like, say, now look my receipts here. So he turned and said, all right. Of course, on me face in a disorder now because you're saying you want maintenance, but look, man, maintaining the child. What's the problem?
And Kevin, I just want to touch on that point for a second, right? Because that's something we say to the guys in the group all the time. And that's something we want to, again, reinforce to the listeners. If you know you are in this situation where you are separated from your former significant other, number one, and Kevin said it, continue to provide for your child. That is number one, right? They not allowing you access to your child, don't equate to you not providing for your child, right? We've said that. And I said on this program, when I was dealing with my situation on my own, I made that mistake of saying, yeah, let me see my child, me sending no money, right? That is not the way to handle it, right? The other thing he said is he kept his records. And I'm tired of people calling us, and when they say they're in the same situation that Kevin in, and we ask, yeah, your records? You say, but no, boy, me have no records. And gentlemen, you need to keep your records, right? Do not hand over cash in hand. We've said that on multiple occasions. Right? You go say, well, me and my child are good. We have a good relationship. It's good, partner, until it's sour, you know. And the day it's sour, you wouldn't have a shred or ounce of evidence to support your case. And sometimes all you're good and you meet somebody else. Right? And when they see that, they say, hey, I go with him. I go jam him. I carry him to court. And when you find yourself in front of the court and you're calling us, and we say, have your evidence? You say, no, boy, I don't have nothing. No. So all who good and all who indifferent right now, keep your records because you never know the day you may end up before the courts. Kevin, I want to jump ahead to your access, right? Eventually, after going back and forth through the court process, you got interim access, right?
Yes.
Tell the listeners what was the interim access that you got?
Right. So eventually I got part of a Sunday. Right? 9 to 12. No, sorry, 9 to 5. Right? But by the time mommy dropped the child 10, sometimes 10:30, just think of the time, right? People listen good. I had to get ready for 5. So by the time 4 o'clock, I had to rack up to go to drop she back. So when you come late, right? Although you have a order saying 9 to 5, you come in 10, 10:30, at that time she reach around 12 o'clock. Right? So that's like 4 hours to me because by the time I think I make sure I do my part. That's another thing, right? Should I have the day go? Do your part.
But I want to dial back a little bit. Okay, I want to highlight. I don't want to miss what did you say. Eh? The access you got is every Sunday from 9 o'clock to what?
5 o'clock.
9 o'clock to 5 o'clock. Right? The access you got was only on a Sunday from 9 to 5. So you ain't got no weekend. You ain't got no every other weekend. You got Sundays 9 to 5.
Important part of why I got that, right? Mm-hmm. And I was kind of mad. And my lawyer just touched my son and I realized what's going on. So I say, leave it alone. You ain't getting nothing. You're getting something now. The reason for that, because of the threats, right? The alleged threats that they say, right? Mm-hmm. That is the reason for no. And here this part go to Trinidad and Tobago and tell me if it's making sense. And when I sit down and ask everybody, you ain't giving me no overnight because of the threats, right?
The alleged threats.
Within the 9 to 5, if I need to do the child something, I can't do it around that time. This is what we face with as people in leadership positions making a decision for your child life. But
So
I think my 9 to 5.
You're getting 9 to 5, and you was upset, right? Understandably, you were upset, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, I want to highlight this part. What did you do with your 9 to 5? Even when she come late, what did you do?
I take my child and go and I have fun with her. If we have, for instance, I just bake and all them kind of thing. So I mix it up every Sunday. I mix it up. We go cook sometime. We might go my tour. I went Sando Hill. I take you all over the place. And from there, I drop back and so I go in. And eventually, when we went.
I'm making that point because, Kevin, right? I highlighted that for you to put in bold. Because again, we get called from people who say, well, this is the order. I only get this, right? I only get every other weekend. And I am saying every other weekend we've said that is not acceptable. But we also say, Kevin, and I want you to repeat that, we also say make the most of the time that you have, because that is what is going to lead to the next thing. And I want you to speak to your experience with that habit.
And I want to also, we talked earlier about recording, right? So the next thing is, I make sure and I have enough pictures of everything we was doing. So if you want to come and see the child come back and you didn't vex to come, I have it here. Show me where you saying and what this showing here. Which one it is. So I used to take my pictures, my little videos and everything. We're having fun. So if you come in to say that the child didn't want to go down there, like a day, the grandmother, right, call her, I tell her, come let us eat. And because they used to put, and that's another thing, right? When the child come, she come in with a lot of baggage, because she come in, besides coming to spend time with your daddy, she come in also, she have a job from the mother and them. To see what daddy doing, where he had any little thing call we, all them kind of things. So they get she tablet and all kinds to do all these things. I said to her, put on the tablet, let's go and eat. She insists she want to keep the tablet. So what she do is, she take the tablet, leave it on, and she put it there for Granny and them to hear. I said, what is that there? I said, turn it off. She hurry up and ate, went to the bedroom, right? So go and call Granny now, and Granny tells you, what are you doing? And don't worry, baby. He can make come and eat, all right? What I did wrong there? And you know what the response was from my grandmother? Don't worry, baby. You only have a few hours down there. As if you know the child, right? Like she went to the zoo now, and you know the zoo going to close. So after that, you're coming home. Not like she father. For you to encourage the child, right? There's another thing, Trinidad and Tobago. If we're doing this, let me stop it.
I was just talking to grandparents before we got you on air, Kevin, and I was saying that grandparents and relatives who are connected to the situation but not a part of it need to be more responsible in the things that they are saying and doing, because some of them are pouring gas on a fire instead of encouraging peace and co-parenting in the best interest of the child. David was making a very important point about when we trap our children in the middle of this, the way it harms them, or it could harm them later on in life, right?
And I was listening to Joseph's story. I was saying all that time, and I don't know what happened in the drugs. I was getting problem. And I was going to make a point of what Joseph said, something important there. In the whole scenario there, that back and forth, I follow it good. The mother don't really want the child, but she don't want the child with Joseph, which that is the father of the child. When thing was sweet, right? But the point I'm making here, though, a relative, right, decide that you want to go and help the mother. That's not helping the mother. That is going against the child. Because you see what it turned out to be. The child, from that all that back and forth and that, the child now between that a rock, don't know who to please. Who to please. That was going on there now. And eventually it turned out to be, the child wants to burn down place, she suicidal, all this kind of thing. Thank God, and I talked to Joseph, right? That the child could have recovered from that. Not the parents, the child. Because all of this here is the child, the product of the parents.
Yeah.
All this scenario we talking about here, this has nothing to do with the parents, It's the offspring of the parents. Is where the problem here, Who's end up in the problem here, Because daddy gonna get somebody, daddy with somebody else, mommy with somebody else, and your child in the middle broken. Trinidad and Tobago. Follow what I now say. Everybody else ended up go the parents after. The child is broken in the middle. That is what we're doing to our kids. Let me stop it.
Kevin, I want to go further a little bit. Ace, I see you join us. Thanks for joining us, brother. We will get to you in a little bit. All right.
Good afternoon, and thanks for having me here. Yeah.
Right. Thanks for joining us, brother. So, Kevin, I want to get to your order move from one day to what?
Right.
What did the order move from as your court matter progress?
I moved from Sunday to week on, week off because
right. So the child was 1 week with you and 1 week with mom. Right? Tell us what in your view brought about that change in the judicial officer's mind. What made them bring about that change?
Right. One, I continue to support my child, and two, I continued to add. When I say add, so every time I go to the court, I'm not talking about mommy. I'm talking about what I can do for my child and what I'm doing for our daughter. So, and then while I'm doing that, mommy come in, I want to shoot down things I'm doing, but you have nothing that you're doing. So in the eyes of the court, right, what they're seeing, eventually, we was in front of a social worker, probation officer, and the report. So the men who feel they don't have hope, listen to what the report said, that the father is the one who have this child best interest at heart. Both of them, that was the report. Not I say so, I don't know the people. And of course, you will, and where that threat is concerned, you know what asked, my lawyer asked? Who really want protection? Because mommy started to rant and rave. Right? So I continue to stay on course. There's another thing.
So your focus was the well-being of your child, right? That was your focus. You ain't come in the court to sling stones. You ain't come in the court to throw stones at mommy. Right? You're not Kevin?
Yeah.
Right. You ain't come in the court to throw stones at mommy. Mommy come in and throw stones at you, but you ain't throwing stones.
Right.
You focusing on listen.
Focus.
Keep your focus on your child. And I want you all to hear that. I want you all to hear that. Because sometimes both of we go to court and you pelting stones at me and I pelting stones at you. And we vex when the judge, magistrate, or master now have to figure out and assume based on two of our erratic and irresponsible behavior, who is really the person who care about this child, right? And you heard Kevin say his focus every time he went to court wasn't throwing big stone at mommy. His focus was on his role as a father to his child and how he wants to parent and be a part of his child's life. And Kevin, I want you to speak to as well. When the school was engaged, when the extracurricular activity persons were engaged, what did they all report to the court, Kevin?
They report that daddy were the challenges of that. So that was it. Everybody realized what's going on. Right? I trying to help the child. And look, for instance, they take them out at dance, they take them out at this, they want to carry them music, they want to, right? And it started to be a case of where the child was affected badly, right? Where that relationship always showed me, when she with me that week, it's like she can't wait till Friday reach. Because all the things, the stuff that they put in her head. I continue to pay that no mind and I continue to press on. And it moved from there now. I said to the, through my lawyer, said to the court, right, that this week on, week off, in working. The child needs stability. So, make up your mind, what side we go in with the child. And I said that this is the side I would bring the child, this is what I go do, that is what I go do, and I keep saying that. The mother said, again, she counteracted by saying she and her mother had things put in place. The father in there, he is sick, in the country. The magistrate, the master said, I don't want to hear nothing about no mother here again, no grandmother here. You didn't make a child with your mother. So now,
I want to say kudos to that master. Whoever they are, we ain't calling any names, but kudos
to
that master for drawing that line. Because that's the point we've been making. You cannot allow external persons to keep involving themselves and adding gas in the situation. So kudos to that master for saying that you made that child with the father, right? Not with no grandmother and aunt and nobody else. That is the father you had the child with. You and the father deal. I like that. I hope more we hope others adopting that same stance as well.
Yeah. I was trying to reach out, and all I try to reach out, they insist they wonder. But my argument was, you don't have time. I basically have the time, which I am willing to put in the extra work for our daughter, that we don't have to go in no court. We could, you and she, take she for a few days, wherever. At least she know, hey, she could go by she father anytime, she could go by she mother anytime. So she don't have to worry with this regimented thing. I have to go a week here, and then next week a week here. So your mind keep shifting, right? Mm-hmm. So, and then on top of that, daddy saying one thing, when I go down there, mommy, I'm doing one thing. So how am I going to do my schoolwork? So I said to the court, she needs stability, and we need more time here on this side. So it ended up to, from there, from week on, week off, that I have her all in the week for school, and the mother have on weekends, right? However, it still is a stretch here, because when the weekend come now, and that child go by mommy, I have to build that child every time she come back. Because, again, they try mediation, she ain't come, but you can't force her. So, what you really want for your child? Because what happening here is, although I have her in the week, and I will say this, Trinidad and Tobago, so I is one, to me, unless we have a real delinquent parent, I believe in sharing it, right? But the sharing must be a share, that say, with a stipulation that you have to go there this week and then come back that week. It must be, I run out the country, have a job we're going to do, coming back, that kind of thing, no problem. But it shouldn't be that regimented like that. Because even when weekend she come back now, I have to still go over. And by the time she get back in, by Tuesday, by Thursday, because Friday she go with my mommy, Friday evening. So Thursday she started wind down again. Because guess what? We're not on the same page. And all of I trying to reach out, you still want to do your own thing, right? So for instance, social media and those things, I trying to manage it, but you will manage it, you allowing her just freelance. So of course the child wants to go where any child will want to go again the way, right? So there's another, so again, you see what I'm talking about? In the meantime, daddy might have people, mommy are the people, but who broken in the middle still? So if all follow me, Trinidad and Tobago, still, it boils down that the child is broken in the middle there. You understand?
And that's a really important point, Kevin. You see that point about, again, and this is why I say family matters are more than just legal matters. It's more than the letters of the law. It can't just be that. Because look at the dynamics of the situation you're describing here, right? Some things like what Joseph was describing there is open spite, right? So some things you could see as bright as the sun. But then there are other things like what you describing here, where a parent is purposely spoiling the life out of our child, which will harm them, right? Purposely giving them anything they want and allowing them to do anything they want, which will harm them. At the end there to make you look like a bad guy, right? And again, these are the dynamics that are involved. These are the dynamics that are involved in these situations. And so we can't just sit down and say Act 23, Section 2, and use that, right?
That alone can
We
work.
can't. The basis of it cannot be on that, right?
Let me ask
And we
something,
know,
Mr.
we're
Ron.
grateful that the family court has social services within its system. But there are a number of people who facing family matters in the magistrate courts, right? Where they don't have that same support, right? They don't. And so that core needs to be built more substantially, where you have enough of a social services network to support children who are going through these matters. Not just in court, we were discussing our time, and I remember Donald making the point in one of our meetings, even in schools, because of what children are facing. Kevin, I want to give Ace an opportunity, right? Before we run out of time. We have about 20 minutes again. I want to give Ace an opportunity to share his story as well, right?
Go ahead.
Ace, you there, brother?
Yes, I am here. Once again, thank you for having me.
And we're grateful for joining. And just again for the listeners, Ace is another brother who came and who stayed. He didn't just come, take the help he wanted and disappear like some others do. Right? He stuck around and he continues to support and be a vital part of the support system in the Fathers Association. So, brother, tell us, you have, I recall from us talking, it's 2 kids you have, right?
What's that? Say that again? Sorry.
I recall from our discussions, you have 2 kids.
Yes, I do. I have 2 children, a girl and a boy, in that order.
Right. And you were separated from your significant other.
Yes.
For how long were you separated before you ended up in the court?
Well, the court thing happened. The court just now. What month we in? We are in July.
Yeah,
the court
July.
thing happened this year,
Mhm.
but the we separated in 2019, the end of 2019, right on the
Right.
onset of COVID.
Right. And so when you all separated, before you all came to court, what was that like in terms of you being able to have a relationship with your children still?
Okay, so to be honest, it wasn't that bad, right? She was allowing me liberal access. This is without the courts involved, but she was allowing me liberal access because the way that we ended was very traumatic. It was traumatic for me, right? So I don't know if she felt guilty, but the point is that I was granted liberal access to them. And at the point in time, I had no information with respect to father's rights. And from there, when I started to stand up for myself, that is when she started to like deny my access or threaten to not.
But what do you mean by stand up for yourself? What was happening that you had to take a particular stand? What do you mean by that?
Boy, it's a good. Wow.
Just give it high level. You don't have to go down in nitty-gritty.
Well, in a nutshell, just basically asking me for things that you shouldn't ask me for. Like I would really have to go into detail for you to understand, but it isn't really relevant to the situation with my children. The point is that I started to stand up for myself, and that is when the problems arose, especially when the person she found somebody else. When they came into the picture, what I had noticed was that in order to show like fidelity to that person, she would sort of treat me, badly. And that is where it started.
That is where it started falling apart in terms of getting access and building that relationship with your children.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. So after a while, cut off completely.
Yeah. Well, how to put it, boy? It was just a series of arguments that culminated into the police getting involved because we had basically a tug of war where I had my son in my hand and she was trying to yank him away from me because I came based on an arrangement we had where I was supposed to take the kids out, and because I didn't know I mean, the audience could decide how they want to take this, but I did not have any information with respect to where my daughter was going to school. She was denying me that information. And so I decided that I wasn't going to pay for the book list unless I got the information as to where my daughter was going to school, right? And that culminated into her not wanting to give me the children on that day, and I wasn't having it that day because up to that point I felt like I was being bullied, and so I didn't want to give her the children. They called the police came, and the police took her side naturally. And yeah, then afterwards, I think that's when I began talking to a lot of people because I realized I needed assistance.
Right.
And it led to you. It led to you guys, you know?
So you ended up in court, right?
Yeah.
And you were blessed and you received access to your children after
Yeah.
your first court hearing, from what I remember.
Yes, correct. Yes.
Right. And I think it was around the vacation time, so you got half of the vacation immediately.
Yeah, it was around the Easter vacation.
Right.
She gave me a week one time with them.
But so you go to that court experience, because court experience for people is a traumatic thing, right?
Yeah.
Intimidating and a traumatic experience. What was your experience like?
Right. Okay, good. So firstly, I was prepped well. And for everyone listening, the host, Mr. Shervon, is pivotal.
Not to say that.
No. I am sorry.
I'm going straight to the thing.
Okay. All right, cool. Right. So, but I was prepped well. And the main thing I had going for me is the truth, which is that I'm a good father and I only want what's best for my children. Right. So, and in the court, now I was terrified because you're right. It is a terrifying experience. And in there, I prayed a lot beforehand, and I know you always stress this in the group. So I prayed a lot about it. I talked to my mom. I talked to all my support, which includes you. And at a point in time, I had and it reached up to the morning. I realized I had to let go all of my fear because I was stressing. Just right up until the waiting room, the digital waiting room, we have to wait to be signed in now. But I was so surprised at how smoothly it went, because in a very short space of time, I was able to relate to the master that I was a dedicated father. And let me explain how simple it was. I had a long list of all the things that I wanted in terms of access, right? And when I furnished the master with that list, as well as the mother of my children's attorney, well, the master in this case was able to see, I realized afterwards, she was able to see that I was a dedicated father. Because if I wasn't a dedicated father, an undedicated father would not risk asking for things that he could potentially get, if you understand what I'm saying.
What are some of those things? I want you to tell them, what are some of the things you asked for?
Oh, well, I asked for every other weekend for one. I asked for the 1 month in the holidays, in the August vacation, a week in the Easter, a week in Christmas, Father's Day. I asked for everything with respect to school, Parents' Day, Sports Day. I can't remember everything off the top of my head. But I mean, the list was long and I took my time with it, so that, as I said, when the master saw that, immediately she knew it was a confirmation, because even before that, I told her that, because when she asked me how could she help me, I told her that I really, in detail, what it is I wanted. And I ended off by saying that I want to be an integral part of my children's lives. And she ended off by saying, that's very admirable. So yes, and the real nail in the coffin, so to speak, was when she saw the list. Because afterwards I realized that it didn't matter what the attorney said, what the mother of my children said. She knew that the person that she was dealing with was genuine. So I was able to relax afterwards when I saw that, because I was sitting in truth, and it was really quick, like real quick. So yeah, my experience fortunately was very good.
So we want to say kudos to that master as well.
Yeah, for real.
Hats off to that master for the approach in listening and not allowing themselves to be drowned out by legal jargon and
Yeah.
legal maneuvering, and right. We want to
Yes.
say that is all we're asking for.
Yeah. Yeah.
I continuously say is that every father who walks the road that you have walked, Kevin have walked, Joseph have walked, and all the others, right?
Yeah.
They are the ones who want to be part of their children's lives.
Yeah.
They want to be present. They are not the deadbeat fathers you hear society that's be beaten all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you all were, you would not even make the effort,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
You would have turned your back and go your way long before. But the fact that you all take this journey and endure this level of stress, right? It
Mm-hmm.
is testament that you want to be parents of to your children, and we want the court and the law to acknowledge those fathers
Yep. And
and allow them the opportunity to play that role. Go ahead, is.
yeah, I just wanted to touch on what Kevin had said because I
Mhm.
came in while he was in conversation, and I really, really appreciated that he highlighted the fact that the children is being the center of it all.
Mhm.
Because my daughter is 6 now, but 2 years ago when I was in the thick of it, even the situations where I had to be close to the mom, like let's say the mom had to sit next to me for whatever reason,
Mhm.
she would come and she would pull our heads together for us to kiss because before we had separated, my daughter used to become giddy when we used to kiss now because I guess she really wanted that now, the mother and father unit now. And
Yeah.
it was the
Yeah.
hardest thing for me to not be able to give her that now. So I just want to reiterate to the audience that, hey, do your best to make the family work for your children because it produces, I think from a statistic standpoint, it produces the best individual when a child is nurtured under a nuclear setting, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
harmonious nuclear setting, that is,
Yes.
not a
Yeah.
toxic one.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. That's a
that's
good
what I
point.
really wanted to touch on.
A very good point. And
Yeah,
is so you are saying is I don't want to just rush past that point. That's an excellent point.
yeah, yeah,
To try and make things work where you can, right?
yeah,
And but even in this situation where you can't, right? Because you say not a toxic one, if it's descending into that and you can't, you still have to work together to be parents,
yes,
right? Because as you said, there's an expectation from your child that all right, I want my mommy and daddy in my life, right?
mm-hmm.
There's that expectation. I had that expectation as a child growing up. I used to be sad, angry, furious, every range of emotion because I couldn't have that,
Right,
right? Growing up as a child. As much, and I always say my mom did a wonderful job raising two boys on her own, right? But
right,
I wanted that. I long for that. So I agree with you on that point. Talk to
mm-hmm.
us is about so your focus, right? You're saying your focus going in was the focus being the well-being of your child. Were any stones thrown at you in that hearing?
As I recall, no, not really. I mean,
And when
I
I say
was very
stones, anything to make you look like a bad parent?
did I would say that they did not get that opportunity. If
Mm-hmm.
now I was very, very, very fortunate that, and I wish I didn't have to say this, but it is the truth and it is relevant. I was very, very fortunate that the attorney that the mother of my children got was her first case, and she was fumbling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was like more prepared than her.
Right.
So yeah, so it really at any point in time did not work in my favor. I was, as I said, it didn't take long for the master to understand who I was and what I represent, and then from there that was it. The
Very
only time that stones were thrown, as I recall now, was that they tried to challenge everything that I had asked for,
mm-hmm.
and the master simply asked what were the grounds for challenging it, and the attorney had no answer. That was
And
the
that
only
goes
point.
back to the point about again, who is really concerned about the well-being of the child, right? Is
Right.
and I spoke about that earlier about lawyers playing games,
Yeah.
right? What I you have said, I burn, I did be burning on every other weekend. And you say I went and asked for every other weekend, right?
Yeah.
I asked for half a vacation, and I asked to be a part of the milestone events in my children's life, right? And things like parents' day at school and extracurricular activities and so on, right?
Yeah.
What is there to challenge in a situation like that?
Exactly. That's my question too. And I guess
Right?
that was the master's question too.
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
and so it goes, and again, kudos to the master for not allowing that game to be played.
Yeah.
Right? But for crushing that at that point, and every master, judge, and magistrate should have that approach.
Yeah.
Because all you asking to do is be a father to your child, which is what your children want to.
Yes.
And you challenging. So what are you challenging in me coming to a parents' day? And what are you challenging me coming to a swimming event or the piano recital? What are you challenging there? And so that kind of behavior has no place in family matters.
Yeah.
I don't care if it is the parent or the lawyer, it should not be accepted. It should be condemned sternly.
Yeah.
And I tell you, there should be something in place to bar the bar lawyer from practicing in the family court, if that is your approach to these types of matters. Because you're clearly not concerned about the well-being of the child. Ace, I thank you, brother, for coming on and give that experience. What do you want to say to fathers, Ace, who are going through a similar situation right now?
It's real simple, guys. To everyone listening, all you need is the truth, and the truth is the love for your children, because everything fell into place when I applied the truth. I applied it through praise, through talking to the association, to talking to people, because if you really love your children, you will go the distance. There isn't anything really more I could say, because I don't need to say anymore. If you really love your children, everything will fall into place because you will do what you're supposed to do.
Thank you very much, brother. Thank you for being with us and making that time. I know you run straight out of work and come and...
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, so I appreciate that a lot, yeah?
Thank you very much for having me, my brother.
All right,
brother.
Take care. We'll chat.
Yes.
Kevin, is Kevin still there, David?
Yes, he is.
Kevin, any closing words? We're about to run out of time. Any closing words for...
Yes, well, I know.
Fathers?
Well, I will continue to tell the fathers, continue to support your child, no matter what. And what to say, boy? The odds might be against you, but so long as you know what you want, bring it forward and continue pushing for your child.
Kevin, you and Ace spoke about the power of and the importance of prayer in terms of what you all went through.
But you must put the father first. And I just want to train this one, Shervon. So the wider chance of big, I don't know the decision makers, if anybody listening on Power 102 right now. We're talking about crime in the nation, our youth are going astray. My advice is getting to the Fathers Association and these NGOs when they're making all the crime plan. Because these are the people on the ground. These are the people who the issues of children. That is my advice, if any are these people listening here this evening.
Thank you very much, Kevin. I appreciate you being here, brother. I appreciate all that you and Ace do for the men who come to the association and need assistance. Thank you all. David.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me again, Shervon.
No problem. David, so we heard some interesting stories today.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Interesting stories today. And this is just a handful of the men, David, who we interact with on a daily basis. Right? But the underlying theme, David, is the same. Children are severely impacted by these circumstances. And we need a system where all involved have really and genuinely have, David, the best interest of the child at heart.
Exactly. And I want to add to that in saying that I think it's Kevin who said he sent a message to the people in authority who are listening and advise them to come down on the ground or get in contact or be part of these NGOs and the Fathers Association and stuff, because really and truly, if parents especially fathers, play their role in their children's life, I think the negativity or the attraction by the negative forces to children will drop
Mhm.
drastically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's that report in Spain that I touched on last week, where
Mhm.
they have been putting programs in place to allow fathers to play a greater part in these situations, and they are seeing a drastic decrease in delinquent behavior among young men,
Of course.
which is
Once
which is what we
parents
did.
play that part,
Yeah,
it is very, very important that they do. And the end result will be a bunch of positive youths. They wouldn't be attracted to negative situations that will take them down the wrong road.
yeah, yeah. So, Trinidad and Tobago, I want to say thank you all for listening this evening. Thank you all for partaking and engaging. David,
Mhm.
thank you for having us, Power 102.
It's
We do not take for granted the investment that you all are making in the men and fathers of this nation every Friday. And we want to say hats off to the entire team at Power 102. And until next week, Friday, you all have a
yes.
blessed weekend and be safe. Take care, David.
Same to you, Shervon. That's it for today's edition of Hard Talk with the Fathers Association, and a touch on a very serious topic: fathers, victims of parental alienation. Join us next week for another edition of Hard Talk with the Fathers Association on Power 102 Digital Friday.